What is up with these people bringing 4 colors, 4-1, and then a splash? By splash, I mean 1 other color. I don't know if I've ever seen this in tournament format for Artifact. Consistently.
I think that what they're trying to do is look for something that gives them an edge. So instead of having just a straight mirror match where you're kind of hoping to either draw better than your opponent or catch a lucky break, if you bring, you know, a 1 of Lich, a 1 of Rix in this case, you're looking for something that gives you just a little bit of an edge over a straight mirror, and it's kind of a tech choice. So in this case, for example, with the Thunderhead Alpha, you might be saying, okay, I can do this and then force an Annihilation when you may not want to use it, and if you don't have the Annihilation, there's not a lot of other ways to deal with a 25-25.
That's true. That is true. And I think the biggest reason that we're all excited to see this is because Rix is kind of that hero that everybody has wanted to make work. It has been, I know the game hasn't been out that long, but if you include the beta, it has been a literal almost year that people have been testing this hero out, and it just seems to be a consensus as we get into the game that he's just bad. And of course, as we talk up this deck, it's not this one.
No, it's not this one.
We're watching the mono red, but it is the Centaur variation, which, you know, I do love.
Yeah, Centaur, Minotaur, all the Tars.
How did you get Minotaur out of that?
I told you I'm bullish on this deck, so I had bull on the brain, man.
Jesus. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
All right, let's take a look at the decks here.
We are going to be seeing Vin pilot, again, this mono red list that is predicated on a lot of burst damage, and this is something that he has piloted a lot. So even though these are non-traditional lists, Vin is very much a constructed player. He's spent a lot of time playing constructed. It's what he enjoys doing. So this isn't, again, something that he whipped up for this tournament. He has a lot of experience on these decks.
Yeah, makes sense. And like you said, the Rising Anger variation, which we have yet to see anybody really use to any full effect. It's been mostly the Dresden standards in the mono red that we've seen 3 of. We've even seen the 1 of. Actually been pretty effective so far. And then the other side, StanCifka with the red-black. And looking at the items, I wouldn't say anything crazy.
Yeah, if you know StanCifka, you know red-black is going to be in the lineup. The one surprise here is dropped Bounty Hunter. This might be the first time I've ever seen him not play Bounty Hunter.
I knew something was off. Yeah. So he's implemented, I can't remember if he played 3 black before or 2. I think he's probably played around with both, but Tinker looks like it's going to be, I mean, PA is always the staple, right? So it's the Tinker filling in for Bounty here.
Yeah, the Tinker is the new spice for Luckbox here.
I mean, I remember in the last tournament we talked about Bounty Hunter because he played it in a non-gold deck, and we're like, that's kind of weird that you play Bounty, because obviously the body is pretty good. The attack can be amazing, especially with how many times he procs Janata.
Yeah.
But his card is almost useless if you're not taking full advantage of it with Paydays.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can help because if you really want to buy Stonehull Cloaks, a track, when it goes off, it does represent the potential to buy 2 Stonehull Cloaks.
True.
So we see Whirling Death getting used here. It's going to allow Bristleback to survive because of the recent changes to it. It now not just does the damage, but reduces attack.
All right, looks like we're going to have a trade, though.
Yep, Legion Standard Bearer is answering that, but we could...
Do you do it again?
We could see another Whirling Death.
It's not. He still dies, though. You don't have enough mana to actually cast both that and Fight Through Pain, unfortunately. Now, the thing I'm looking forward to is the offensive Double Edge, because you are playing against a deck with 3 red heroes, and of course, Double Edge can be used on any red hero, which, if you take advantage of that negative armor, would be pretty nice. I am still waiting for the 1 of Rend armor to be included.
Really?
I've never actually gotten it to work.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
It sounds hilarious. I mean, I saw a clip recently with a triple double-edged Centaur who then rends armor himself. That is 24 armor, for those of you that are wondering. 24.
And you know what the nice thing about 24 armor is, don't you?
No.
It still dies to Annihilation.
That's
that
true.
card is not very good.
It's going to be good one day. I guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. We're going to see a lot of trades here.
Yes.
Whirling Death? No. Not too much.
If it seems like we're not paying too much attention to the game, it's because there is a lot of just bloodbaths, right? It's a lot of trades, jockeying for position here early, but we see a Dresden Standards come down.
That's nice.
And that means combat trades going in favor of Stan. You know, we've been kind of joking about Dresden Standards between day 1 and day 2, but we're seeing 2 decks running it, so...
Something we don't know about. Yeah, I think it's going to be a staple going forward. Slacks always starts these trends that end up, of course, he likes it for the wrong reason, right? He never has the actual logical reason for liking something. It's just a gut thing, and it just ends up working out for him time and time again. But the 2 permanent armor for Bristleback now in tow. If he plays one more card in that lane coming up, then that means that Stonehall Elite will be traded evenly with the melee creep, which is always nice.
Yeah, he's hungry.
Do you want me to go on this rant again?
Absolutely, every time.
I really need to write this down because I keep changing details. You know, I need to get down my story.
Your memory is failing you in your old age.
It really is. It really, really is. Well, Tinker's going to be facing off against the LC in mid. That's definitely not what you're looking for. But gank is available. Only 4 HP though for this PA. Let's see if we have any good targets of choice here. Well, if you Revtel Signet Ring, it's still not enough. That's going to be 8 damage coming out from LC.
Yeah, not a ton.
Oh, actually, leather armor and health item, huh?
If you're really worried about maybe, you know, that 3rd lane, you might, after playing a health item, target that, but there's not a ton of net benefit there.
All right, it's time. Leather armor, either health item, gank, LC, and you have a free mid lane, fresh for the pickin'.
Yeah, that would allow Stan to push a lot of damage there.
Oh, here we go. It's happening. It is happening. What do you think of the leather armors in this deck, by the way? This is something we've seen mostly in, like, it was the, who was that? That played, oh, what's his name?
Well, so
starts with an S.
Hyped and Strifecrow. Were doing that, but that was because they were just trying to get through their item deck. Here, the reason I actually think that it's being played is because if you look at this, Stan is running the 3 Blink Daggers, and those are what he wants. Yep. Then he's got Stonehall Cloaks, high value, and then he has 2 more health items. And there's no reason to run 6 health items when you only have 5 heroes. So if you're going to run 1 more cheap item and you don't care about attack, why not a leather armor?
Yeah, fair enough.
I do think that it's likely just so you can cycle through and find those Blink Daggers. And we did end up seeing that gank go to the 3rd lane on Timbersaw. So.
Of course, PA does take less damage as a result. This is going to force the blink out from Centaur, and the question is, will he go to the 3rd lane? Likely to be yes.
And the answer is yes.
That is 4 armor on Bristleback, though. So he has the advantage. Takes literally 0 damage. Oh, he has 6 damage now. Okay, I missed that. Yep. Oh, he still has the piercing. Forgot he had used that from earlier. So that's nice. Carries over to the 3rd lane. Yeah. Always helpful against the Bristleback, who gains so much armor if you're able to get kills over and over again.
All right, now going to the 2nd lane here, we have potentially March of the Machines going someplace. That lane 3 looks kind of spicy. You get a decent amount of value there.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. All right, you put it in a lane that perhaps you're not 100% sure if you're able to secure it or not, so we're going to see it.
Here what it allows you to do is you're going to get a little bit of damage on the tower. You save one of your melee creeps. You set up for maybe future deployments there as well. And really this is allowing Stan to kind of pressure all 3 lanes. And the benefit of doing that is that if one of them starts to not go your way, then you can just commit to the other 2. But right now, you're just kind of safely not going too far in any direction.
Vin's going to have to give up initiative in order to trade here with the Viscous Nasal Go, but could fight through the pain, won't allow him to survive. But the question is, does he want to just use enough magic in this lane before any... actually, I guess the cloak was already used. Maybe enough magic isn't very important. Actually, it kind of is, because you have the Tresden Standards. You don't want this unit to die. No. How many enough magics do we have in this deck?
He runs 3.
Oh my.
He is a big believer in it.
Yeah.
Again, we've kind of been joking between yesterday and today that it is the new Gust. Yeah. Now, it's not quite the same because you don't get to play it and then continue playing your own cards, but it does shut out plays from your opponent. And that March of the Machines did take out that creep.
Yeah, there's going to be no way to actually save Bristleback here. Actually, okay. Well, Legion Standard Bearer is played. It would have forced lethal onto the Stonehall Elite, but instead, Whirling Death will turn him into a big boy.
Whirling Death gives him a bit of a meal early, and that forces some damage through to the tower as well.
It's a nice turnaround, though, in that lane 3 for Vin.
Yeah, Vin recovering pretty well. Going to get 2 heroes deployed here. Question is, do you want to go and fight that Phantom Assassin, or do you just say, okay, that lane's done and I'm going to go for 2 and 3?
That lane looks pretty bad.
It looks bad, but you don't really have a lot of damage on either lane 1 or lane 2, so...
I think putting 1 here is probably fine. You have the phase boost to get out of the way of PA if you really want. Of course, you are really worried about coup de grace, but of course, as we can see, Stan currently has 0 black cards in hand, interestingly enough. We've been seeing that a lot lately, these last few games. Yeah, it looks like they'll be splitting up nicely.
All right, so Axe dodges the Phantom Assassin in the first lane.
Will we see coup? Oh, Tyler State Sensor.
Whirling Death again, along with a Rising Anger.
Wow.
And a Fight Through the Pain. So it is worth noting, Rising Anger provides an attack buff. And then anytime that a card is played that has 2 or less mana cost, you modify that hero's attack even further. So this is yet another way that you can increase the damage done, talking about that burst potential of this particular mono-red list, as there are several cards that are 2 or less, right? We have the Whirling Deaths, Rising Angers, Fight Through the Pains, Centaur signature card, Poised to Strike.
All beautiful things. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of very low-cost cards. Do you phase boost to kill this Legion Standard Bearer? This thing is very annoying.
Do you...
It's not too bad. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking some damage in turn, but you set up a good Berserker's Call next turn, potentially.
Just what
Obviously, the Tyler State Sensor did prevent that from even coming about this turn. Looks like Vin's just going to pass his way to the next lane. Okay, well...
All right, so this Bristle has some options. If you wanted to start pushing damage here, you could consider a Berserker's Call. You might even phase boots and then Berserkers just so you clear everything, though the Stonehall Cloak now ruins that plan a little bit.
Yeah, no point in doing that now. If you had a little bit more damage, you're still going to go do some damage in turn. Whirling Death can be used to do 1. Probably not worth, though.
Well, at this point, I think that if you're, flip-flopping with the phase boots, you're hoping to just trade with Legion Commander. So, yeah, I was going to say, I expect to see Rising Anger and then either a follow-up Whirling Death, because that would allow you to save your own creep from taking damage. You also preserve the Fight Through the Pain, because, again, initiative is pretty important. So, that is what we see.
-2 armor does not feel good, though, when you're faced against Retaliate. That is a lot of extra damage he's taking.
He is a lot of extra damage, but thankfully, if this goes through, and it's looking like it does because Stan does not have any ways to prevent it other than blinking out, Bristleback is going to get some armor back. Now, if Stan did want to blink here, that would be an option, but the problem is that you're either going to end up in lane 3 in front of that creep. Oh, it is going to be what happens. I assume you're going to go lane 3. You don't want to end up in front of Axe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think lane 3 is probably the choice. I mean, I don't think dying is really that big of an issue. It's more giving that armor.
Wow.
To
all right. Well,
those are the first lane.
Stan apparently knows something that I don't. Does not fear Axe.
All right, well, Centaur is in death range now, but the salve is available. Did you know it's pronounced salve? Have you had this conversation before?
You and I have not had this conversation.
Did you know it was salve?
I have heard other people pronounce it that way. That doesn't mean that it is that way.
No, it is.
No? Not 100%.
It is. Just like it's Abaddon.
You mean Abaddon?
That one's weird. We're going to see the double Berserker's Call from each respective player. Just cleaning out this lane, but the Legion Standard Bearer and a creep survive, so Stan technically gets the better of that trade.
Yeah, Stan, a lot of momentum on his side, but again, Vin's deck is designed for a lot of burst damage, so all he needs is a small window and he can completely turn this around.
Yeah, where are these double edges, man? I need these double edges in my life. They can work so well offensively, and I don't know if you want to call it defensive. Is that really defensive? I guess it kind of is, putting it on the enemy hero.
It is. It's offensive, but in a different way, right? Like, you can consider offense being targeting the tower, or you can consider offense being getting rid of an enemy hero.
Right.
And it is versatile enough to be used either way. Typically, when you're doing it against an enemy hero, what you're looking to do is make one of your creeps trade with the hero, because your creep is likely going to die either way, but you can make it do a ton of bonus damage with the negative armor.
Oh dear. Initiative on the side of StanCifka. He has his laser available, so that will prevent any sort of shenanigans with Berserker's Call, which, I mean, even here, Berserker's Call does almost nothing. Just a lot of damage, but no actual kills.
Yeah, this lane is firmly in the grasp of Luckbox.
Yeah. This lane is out of control. This is where you want a Darkseer. Like, oh, I have 3 heroes in this lane now.
Yeah.
Where's my Blink? He does have a TP, though.
And to make matters worse for Vin, unfortunately, that Legion Commander's Blink is going to come up next turn, off cooldown. It's going to be on the same turn that Time of Triumph becomes available. And if by that time Stan has also found another Blink Dagger, we might see a time and then some mobility allowing him to go secure a second lane. Because this one, it's going to take a lot of damage here. And then after a Time of Triumph next turn, you're not going to need all 3 heroes there to finish it off. Right. So things are falling into place for Stan at the moment.
So we're actually going to see the gank come into play. We're actually going to see Time of Triumph be used on 8 mana, the normal 8 mana. There's no Celemane's favor. This is the good old-fashioned way to get that bad boy out.
You know, that's the second time this game that Phantom Assassin has ganked poor Timbersaw.
That's
there is
true.
Some sort of vendetta there. Clearly, Timbersaw owes Phantom Assassin money.
What do you think of Timbersaw in this deck, by the way?
I mean,
or even Centaur. Those are the 2 that are kind of like interchangeable with other heroes, right?
So I like the inclusion if you are going to commit to the Rising Anger game plan, because both of them provide you with signature cards that cost 2 or less. And the Whirling Death does a great job of initiating trades, and we've seen that used very effectively here. Now, we haven't seen Centaur's card get drawn, unfortunately, but that one enables the burst game plan. So I do think if you're going to commit to the Rising Anger game plan, then those are great heroes to include.
Do you Berserker's Call here?
I mean,
do you do it? That is a lot of damage.
It's the only Berserker's Call that you have in hand.
That's the only problem, right? All right. Definitely not going with it. Does buff himself up thanks to that Rising Anger that you just discussed.
Yep.
Yet another card that procs.
And it is a modifier, right? So that is not a wasted buff.
It ain't no Dresden Standards, is what you're trying to say. Not anything against Dresden Standards.
Well, I mean, technically, Dresden Standards is also a modifier, but the buffs that it provides are temporary.
Yes. All right, we're going to see the duel come out. So Bristleback is, again, the king of this particular lane, and that is exact lethal, in fact, thanks to the Dresden Standards.
Yeah.
Slacks is right again.
And just like that, Vin...
It's not looking good. Is there Annihilation in this deck, you think?
No, there is sadly not. Vin is going to end up taking this loss. There's just no way that he can prevent lethal in this first lane. Stan knows that. Throws in Axe for good measure, has Time of Triumph. So
I'm really scared.
Even if all of the arrows went all of Vin's way, the siege damage from the Time of Triumph will be enough to finish this off.
No doubt about it. Does have a blocker. Finally, the double edge comes in.
Finally, the double edge.
My goodness, what a difference it would have made. Probably not at all. But I am very sad because Vin, he's going to lose this game. He's going to get the chance to play again against StanCifka. If he doesn't pick the Rix deck, he has the choice which deck he wants still. I am going to be so freaking sad to not see Rix at all.
Well, the good news is this tournament does use a GSL format, so even if
still might not see it.
Even if Vin loses, there is the opportunity for us to potentially see that deck later on, and yeah.
Stan looks very, very happy.
Stan does look happy. Vin does not look happy, and I mean, he shouldn't be. That was rather one-sided,
yeah.
And I don't think that Vin necessarily did anything wrong or incorrect. It was just that Stan had better positioning, drew the right cards at the right time.
It's time for Thunder Chad, my friend.
You think so?
I think it's time. This is your one chance against a really good player to just show him what Rix is all about. Show him that Slacks was right all along about this terrible hero that might actually be good in very specific scenarios that almost never come about.
very, very specific. I mean, listen, the signature card that Rix provides is one that provides silence, right? Silence isn't useless, but it is a bit overcosted and not that great.
It's pretty bad. Let's be real. Especially when you're going against mono decks, right? Because there's always going to be, in all likelihood, 2 heroes to go about. VinKelsier, though, will be playing the mono red again, which, I mean, this is the deck he kind of wants to play against, right? Mono blue.
Yeah, and I think that Vin is very comfortable playing this list. Like I said, it's not the first time he's utilized a list like this in a tournament. We have Poise to Strike and Double Edge in hand.
Oh, dear.
So.
Oh, dear. You can't do it, though. At any cost is way too strong. As juicy as this combo looks. Oh, dear.
Yeah. And Vin knows this, right? He's not going to just blindly go in.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. He's going to wait till he has an opportunity. Wait.
Could just duel.
He's potentially setting up a duel. Yep,
right.
there
The
you
duel
go.
is there.
Like I said.
10 damage to follow onto the tower.
If you're not familiar with Vin, I assure you, he's not a new player. He's not gonna do that.
Absolutely. That's like a Sor Lacan hitting the tower. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a very impressive turn 1.
Poise to Strike. I mean, Vin is the guy that got the turn 1 tower kill before with black. That was unbelievable. That was awesome. That was with Oath and Relentless Pursuit with a Bounty Hunter proccing Janata twice in the same turn. God, that was sexy.
All right, so Vin's going to decide where to place this Centaur. And interesting, okay. So I was going to say I would have felt that the lane 3 is more attractive because you know that the 2 creeps are going in the first lane. Yeah. Centaur going into the 3rd lane means it's more likely to run into a tower. Oh, changing his mind at the last minute. All right.
Hoping for some straight arrows in that 3rd lane because that is a free lane to Double Edge. And that's the thing about Double Edge that's kind of scary against mono blue is if it's not in that 3rd lane, you always have the opportunity to get completely blasted by like a Thunder God's Wrath from another lane because those effects do remain for that specific turn.
Now, maybe the train of thought here is that you can still use the Double Edge on Legion Commander if you want in that 3rd lane. No reason to commit 2 heroes there, whereas you can get some help here. Pressure all 3 lanes potentially. We have talked about in other matchups, right, that one of the ways that you can attack the mono blue list is by pressuring all 3 lanes and making it so that they cannot annihilate them all, cannot defend them all.
Oh, Legion Standard Bearer into phase boots feels pretty good here, I have to say, my friend.
Yeah, and with Stan having already played a card, only 1 mana available, Vin would know that there's not likely going to be a response to that play.
That's right. He's not playing Jamoy. Jamoy is okay. He's just
opts to hold on to it.
Could be using it in this lane, perhaps. Nope. Just going to Viscous Nasal Goo. Do you even Double Edge in this last lane, or is it better just the Legion Standard Bearer for later? I'm not sure. Obviously, less damage this turn, but potentially more overall in the later game.
I think right now he's likely going to hold on to the Double Edge until he can secure a tower. Getting a tower low against mono blue doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. We've seen it a lot throughout this tournament already that people can stabilize at, less than 10 health, less than 5 health.
Yeah,
so if you're not knocking it down, there's not really a reason to commit.
Let's see what he does here in this 3rd lane. I don't believe you're playing anything else here. Maybe the Jasper deck. We've seen a lot of that just used for extra damage when there's no real debuffs to take off. Frostbite's probably the big one this game. The Disarm. You can see that being taken off pretty easily.
Yep, that is something to consider because, as the desk said earlier, this is a list that runs Crystal Maiden. A little bit different from your traditional mono blue list.
How do you like that hero? The 2/5 creep named Crystal Maiden.
I'm not personally a fan. I think that...
Wow, I have actually never heard you say anything negative about anything.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty rare. So the 5 health is a bit of a liability, and while you do get some mana back, and it can be really powerful because it's across all 3 lanes, the problem is that you're not really like spamming spells as mono blue. You're usually pretty meticulous, pretty methodical, with the exception of maybe, you know, later in the game when you're trying to cycle through your cunning plans and so forth just to find answers. It's not like you're rapidly firing out a bunch of stuff, so I'm not as much of a fan, but
okay. Well, StanCifka is still waiting for that mana 6 to be able to play these two bad boys. Annihilation is good to go. He's not having the same trouble that some other players have had in the past, and that is not drawing the Annihilation for a long time.
Yes, but
Does have Frostbite as well.
Vin does already have a duel and a Berserker's Call in hand, along with a Fight Through the Pain.
That's
so
right.
At the end of this round, it'll be interesting to see if he opts to secure initiative and try to set up a play.
Now the problem here, though, is Berserker's Call, they're not in good positions to kill both, right?
Well, if the...
Now they are.
Yeah. I was going to say, if either of the items comes down here, you could either swap with Phase Boots or Jasper Daggers on the Centaur also would have, with the Retaliate, brought it up and to be able to kill both of them. So I imagine we're going to see this Bristle either try to push tower damage or take out the Luna. I feel like taking out the Luna is a better value play.
Could just go for the Zeus as well.
That's also fair. We might see this and then just Daggers come down on Centaur and try to take both of them out.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Cunning Plan is going to essentially cancel out the Phase Boots. Didn't really matter what he did in terms of Phase Booting. It would have happened anyway.
Now you see the power of Crystal Maiden because no mana there.
That's right. That's true. That's a freebie.
That's a freebie. So all of the cards that are 5 or less are still available to be played here. And honestly, that means Prey on the Weak could get a decent amount of value. After the zap from Zeus, there's now 4 wounded targets. Instead, setting up Ignite. That's also a great play.
Yeah, so now Berserker's Call, unfortunately, he did not play Jasper Dagger, so might just be waiting for this Frostbite, which I think is a card we haven't really talked a whole lot about. I think it's, especially with Crystal Maiden on board, that's like a 1-mana card, right? The effects of this is pretty insane. 2 damage is kind of meh, but the disarm is extremely powerful. Obviously synergizes quite well with a lot of blue heroes, considering how weak they are. She'll have to use that here in order to live, if she wants to live. Doesn't look like she wants to, though.
No, does not want to live. Yeah, disarm is...
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about it. We always forget about Arcane Aura.
So disarm is an incredibly powerful effect against red specifically because not only do the heroes rely on the high attack damage, but then cards like Duel and Berserker's Call rely on it as well. So
here is my... I think you double edge here. Don't you? It's not enough for the tower kill. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, I know what you're talking about, double edge. You want to finish things off, but against blue, it's so scary to leave that as... Like, if you have a free lane, sure. Just take it while you can. You know?
Yeah, but again, like, getting it down to, you know, 4 health is still not good enough. We've seen it a lot this tournament, and Vin respecting that. Did play the Fight Through the Pain, has initiative.
That's true. He can still do it the end of this turn. He'll have it. In fact, he doesn't even need to. We can see on the minimap right here. You call this minimap or the scoreboard, by the way. So we're going to see a big Berserker's Call. So because of the Retaliate coming from Centaur, that was enough, in fact, to get that kill.
Yep, this is
beautiful.
This is looking really good for Vin in this lane.
And for now, though, we got a hero coming back with Annihilation.
We have a hero coming back next turn, but also in that 3rd lane, right? Legion Commander looking like it's going to take that down. So
yes, that is dead. That is donezo. StanCifka could TP out a hero here. Annihilation doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, we'll TP out Kana.
All right, so hear me out, right? So this is the power of putting the pressure on all 3 lanes. We're going to see this 3rd lane fall. Vin has made it so that Stan almost has to annihilate in that 1st lane this next turn.
Yes.
And when that happens, that means initiative is given up, and then Vin is going to have initiative going into this lane that will likely also not have too strong of a presence. It'll only be 1 blue hero, so with the right draw, Vin could actually secure a tower kill here.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see what the draws end up being, though. But yeah, the Annihilation, he should get that off in the first lane, like you said.
Yeah, if he finds a Berserker's Call or even just a duel, and then pairs that with the double edge, because they will have 7 mana next turn.
Good thing he kept it.
Yeah, could be a very impactful
exact
play.
lethal. I mean, this is also predicated on the fact that there's no creeps spawning here, right?
Yes.
So a little bit of luck involved in terms of getting this tower, but that is still a very quick one, which for mono blue you don't want to see. And he's going to get a ton of items as well. Phase Boots could be the choice from the secret shop, but obviously Cloak a little bit higher value right now.
Yeah, I personally like the idea of picking up a Phase Boots if you are going to try to use that double edge to take out one of these.
Yeah, I agree.
And it looks like Vin agrees. Solid buy. Now, Stan, wow. Okay, so Stan right now showing 2 blue heroes going into that first lane, probably thinking, you know, if I...
Does he have Blink or something?
I don't know, maybe...
I don't think there's any items in hand. 1 gold.
Maybe it was fearing...
And we have Berserker's Call. That's just game in mid.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe it was fearing something like a duel to shut down one of them and prevent the Annihilation because Stan did not have initiative. But this is going to be it.
Yeah, I agree. Perhaps this is the... I mean, the fact that Vin had the initiative means Berserker's Call with bad spawns, right? With 1 hero, he could have killed him. So 2 heroes does make sense in that way. But at the same time, this is super scary. This is already open. No creeps were spawning here. And as we know, the double edge just by itself is enough to finish it off.
It's a good thing he saved it, huh?
Yes. Annihilation is played.
So there is the Annihilation.
Stan not feeling too great about that. And this is going to be tied 1-1. So we're going to see Rix.
Yeah, we're going to see Thunder Chad.
Rix. This was actually close to being a tie, I just realized.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Did not even notice.
But,
wow.
Fun fact about Vin, several mathematics degrees, so...
Really? Several?
Several.
Why do you need more than 1?
Because 1 is not enough. When you're good at math, you count your degrees as well as everything else.
How many degrees does he have? Are these like multiple bachelor degrees? Does he get masters? He's a doctorate?
He's a teacher. Yeah, he does a lot. It's pretty.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Pretty cool dude, giving back to the community, helping young people learn math, and also bringing us Thunder Chad.
Thank God for that. And we've actually started. I have not been so excited about an Artifact match this tournament until let's get our faces out of here. The game. It's Thunder Chad. We got 1 green hero and 9 blue. Who will prevail? Who? You know who I'm rooting for.
I'm going to go with Vin here because Stan playing that mono blue list feeling a bit under the weather because he has mono.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. I'm reaching with that pun.
Wow. Unreal. Unacceptable, in fact. An unacceptable joke on stream.
How dare I?
Yes, how dare you. So the lists are quite a bit different. We talked about StanCifka's Lost in Time, which I have never seen in a competitive match before. So we'll see if that ends up being clutch or not. But it's all about Rix. We can talk about Rix the entirety of this match. 0 green cards in hand. It'd be hilarious if he never draws any green cards this game. And we just keep talking about it.
I mean, it's entirely possible. Listen, Vin knows it's a splash, so he's really only playing, 1, the signature cards, because he has to, but then the cards that he is targeting, right? It's basically combo pieces. It's the stars aligned to ramp into a big Thunderhide Alpha and then a Thunderhide Alpha. And, you know, we've talked about how the red-green ramp list throughout this tournament has been considered a high-roll deck, right? Well, just by including this package, you're playing mono blue with the ability to high roll. If you do have some sort of scenario, for example, where you draw multiple stars align and your Thunderhide Alpha, you could play that when Rix is coming down. And again, most decks don't have a way to deal with a 25-25.
Well, yeah, I can't blame them. The thing's giant. It's completely obese, out of control.
It's an absolute unit.
It is a complete unit for sure. And no, I agree. It's pretty fun to watch because potential for Bracers of Sacrifice, I mean, against a mono blue deck, that decimates. That's 6 damage.
Yes.
It kills like most of these heroes in pretty much 1 shot.
It's a localized at any cost.
Yes. That's very nice. Of course, it could be horrendous. We don't know. It looks great. I want to believe, as we're seeing each player go through the motions here, a second Aghanim Sanctum is available for Vin, which is super nice pickup. See if he chooses to use this anywhere in particular. So he has one in the first lane. Do you like the double Aghanim Sanctums? Like if it's this early.
It depends. Out, right? It depends on the list, but like this early, I'm not a fan of doubling up because you are way telegraphing like I am prioritizing this lane.
Right.
If you put 2 Sanctums in one lane and then you end up losing it, you have invested an awful lot in something that is just not being useful. So
he's going to use his at any cost to clear out that lane because he would have died to, it wouldn't have been upkeep necessarily, but the static field next turn would have been a big deal. Might see another one.
It's entirely possible.
He's going to Aghanim Sanctum first, and then I think he's just going to kill everybody. A suicidal Luna.
Yes.
Taking everybody with her.
So Vin showing that whether it's Bracers of Sacrifice or at any cost, he is totally okay with lighting himself up and everyone else around him.
Take it, yes.
Yes.
Oh, Bracers of Sacrifice.
And it's purchased the turn that Rix is coming down.
That is correct. Now, he really needs the Revtel Signet Ring because the one thing that we all know, all you players out there, about Rix is he loves to die. Right? He just dies over and over and over. He just can't help himself. For whatever reason, he's the biggest masochist of all time. But getting a Revtel Signet Ring means that you're only giving up 2 gold each time, which would be helpful. But for now, it's full value for StanCifka. It's on sale. There's the Thunder. I was going to call it something really bad. I'm not going to do that.
The Thunder Chad.
I was going to say Thunder Chode, actually, but that's another story.
That sounds horrendous. All right.
That sounds horrendous.
All right.
I love that reaction. That is actually ungodly. Just stone cold. That is horrendous. Charmer, you cracked me up, buddy.
We have Vin with a lot of choices here because of the Sanctum available. Likely going to see an Ignite come down.
I could use this.
Maybe a refresh.
Stan has a lot of cards. He has both. Does he have 2 or 3 bolts in this deck? 3.
Yeah, he has 3. So that's an interesting thing to mention because this is a 40-card list that is also running 3 bolts.
Right.
So on the one hand, like you're going to find your bolts, but on the other hand, you're going to find a lot of cards that cost 10 that are going to sit around for a bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly the case right now. Still at 5 mana, so not a whole lot to play for StanCifka. That would actually make a huge difference. Although the Prey in the Week will produce about 5 units, I think it was, but not choosing to use it here.
And look at this hero, this master of the middle lane melee creep.
Yes, the melee creep's a god, but here comes Rix with his rapid deployment. Are you ready to die? Doesn't look like he's ready to die because StanCifka really doesn't have anything to play, unfortunately for him. Bracers of Sacrifice are equipped. StanCifka's like, what is that item? I have literally never seen it before in my life.
And Rix is just happy to have some armware.
Yeah.
Now, the nice thing about Bracers of Sacrifice is, in a list like this, where you don't have access to a Berserker's Call, it can serve as like a poor man's Berserker's Call, if you will. And that's important when you have something like a 25-25 that might have a melee creep in front of it. That's often why the 25-25 doesn't see play. You'd prefer something with Siege, like the Thunderhide Pack. But if you have a consistent way to get things out of the way of that absolute unit, it becomes a lot more effective.
And the fact that he has rapid deployment means, especially against these mono decks, the Annihilation doesn't feel as good, right? We've talked about how, I mean, we've seen a lot of Vestures this tournament. The games go on forever, and that's because Annihilations don't actually do that much. They just delay slightly. Then you come back with rapid deployment, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's also kind of worth mentioning that, you know, you talked about the negative of Rix, right? Rix is pretty brittle. And every time he dies, yes, he's coming back the next turn, but you're kind of donating 5 gold in many ways. But when you're playing against something like Mono Blue that is oftentimes drowning in gold after an Annihilation or 2 because it's wiping the board, what's 5 extra gold, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They're going to get what they want anyway.
Yeah. Let's look at our eclipses here for Vin. 3 charges to start with here. Will be 4 once you get to the mid lane. And then for the other side, 3 as well for Stan.
That will also be 4 when we get to the mid lane.
Absolutely. Great. Great to hear.
Listen, we're well on our way to being mathematicians just like Vin.
I don't know about that, buddy. That's a long way for me in particular. Well, Aghanim's Sanctum is available to use, but nothing crazy coming out for Vin this turn. Stan is the one with a ridiculous amount of cards in his hand, so he's probably pretty comfortable with this card advantage at the current point in time.
Yeah, the only thing that you would want to
All right, very aggressive.
use the Sanctum for here is if you really want initiative, but with the at any cost getting played by Stan there, initiative is now in your favor for the moment.
Eclipse will now kill the opposing Kana if you refresh here.
Yep, that is a possibility if you really want to teach that Kana a lesson. We do see a refresh.
Could be faking it. I mean, how effective is Eclipse in this matchup? He's going to go for it now.
It's effective at teaching Kana a lesson.
Yeah, it looks like it. Lesson is taught. StanCifka, level 12 versus Vin's 19. You think he's intimidated by that?
No, Stan, listen, he's a busy guy. He can't be grinding non-stop.
That's true. He's got a lot. I mean, a lot of the tournaments he plays don't actually count towards levels, right?
Right,
That's
exactly. All right, so Vin has a couple of options here.
He could kill himself.
Could kill himself. Could in an act of defiance shut Crystal Maiden up, or could just blink away.
Okay. If he gets Stars Align next turn, this unit comes out. Did you know that?
This absolute unit.
Did you know that? Look at this fatty McGee. All right, do you see these little tiny creatures underneath, guys? Do you see that? Those are Thunderhide packs. Do you see the size discrepancy? Thunderhide alphas are enormous.
Is that Thunderhide packs or is that a single pack?
Like they might be babies.
How many Thunderhides are required to make a pack?
They might be babies, but they could be packs. We don't know.
Listen, I'm not a lore guy.
The lore is not clear.
I'm not a lore guy. I'm relying on you. How many Thunderhides are required to make a pack?
Thunderhide. I thought it was just one. That's probably not true.
It's a pack, like a wolf pack. No, it's not a pack of dinosaurs, SUNSfan.
I know. It's just that on the art for oh wait, there's 3 on the card, aren't there, for Thunderhide?
Yeah, in the frame there might be more. You're
packs.
The lore guy.
I'm not the lore. He's the lore guy. Slacks is the lore.
You're
guy.
more lore than me.
No, I'm not. I know nothing of the lore. I make up the lore. That's how much I know.
I know
So
more
anyway.
about VinKelsier's personal life than I do about Dota, so I need you to help me.
Well, this isn't in Dota. I can tell you that right now. That's why I know nothing of it. It's going to be, Stars Align!
Stars Align!
Oh!
You are about to see exactly what this deck wants to do, and
Vin's
he
face.
is so
Vin's face.
excited. Look at how happy he is.
Stan's face. Everyone's face. Oh, exactly.
There it is. There's the smile.
Oh, my God. VinKelsier. He knows he's done it. Stan's expression has not changed whatsoever. He needs an upgrade, a firmware upgrade to his facial animations.
Batman is worried because the mad scientist, mathematician, VinKelsier just dropped a dinosaur on him. And this is exactly what I was talking about before, right? Unlike Bolt, this is representing consistent damage in that lane. You cannot leave it there or it will threaten the Ancient. Yes. So this is kind of what Vin was hoping to get.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And
I mean, we talked about this before. Like, Thunderhide packs are great. Obviously, they do damage through units if they're blocked, but they don't really threaten for 80 very well, right? We see Hornby Alphas picked up. You get the tower, but then you never really actually get 80 in the lane. And with Ricks in this deck, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're playing against mono blue. And even with your 4 blues on your own team, you're going to be getting annihilations left, right, and center, so you can actually cast stuff pretty much every turn.
Let me point out one other thing about what Ricks brings to the table.
Yes.
The number one thing that people try to do typically, right, is throw one blue hero into a lane and then pop annihilation.
Yes.
This Ricks means that you have to have initiative if you're going to do that, because Act of Defiance would shut down a singular blue hero.
Mm-hmm. In some cases. I mean, they have a lot of HP today.
Well, but it's silences it.
You're talking about Act of Defiance.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Act
I
of
thought you
Defiance.
meant the Bracers of Sacrifice.
You know, the shut up fool.
the one card that we rarely see played. Of course, the one benefit of this over a lot of other signs is it works on creeps, my friend.
Yeah,
so
it
if he's
actually
playing against ramp.
Yeah, it could shut down an emissary.
Absolutely. So Crystal Maiden left all alone here. We did see the, I don't even remember the name of it, Lost in Time played.
Yes.
And it locked these bad boys for quite a while.
Yeah, it basically says discard 3 cards.
Yeah, essentially. Well, not this game, though. These games go pretty long, right, with mono blue. So you're going to see these again.
Yeah, now that Lost in Time actually matters there because that meant that Vin could not answer Arcane Assault with his own. So Stan will have the much-needed initiative here. But again, you kind of have to go answer with an Annihilation to get rid of this Thunderhide. Rix will redeploy with a rapid deployment the following turn. If he draws another Thunderhide, Stan could be in trouble.
We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you're right. Annihilation is definitely played here for StanCifka. Bolt, 2 turns away for Stan, but looking at the towers right now, none of them are really within reach. The mid tower getting quite close.
Soon you'll know.
And if we look at the hand for Vin as the Annihilation comes through, only really has Thunder God's Wrath to use, which isn't going to be enough to do a whole lot. How much HP does... Yeah, everybody has very high HP right now. So, not many choices for Vin, unfortunately for him. Just has a hero kind of sitting here.
Yeah, I think Vin knows that this is kind of Stan's like window of opportunity, right? There's not much that Vin's going to do. He had his big flashy play the turn before.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of got to let Stan respond and then regroup. That again, that Lost into Time was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I was wondering how that would end up turning out with that card in the deck, but it has done quite well.
In control mirrors, it can be effective if it hits the right cards, or if you have a relatively small hand. So, like me.
You have small hands?
Yeah, I'm a little guy.
Like Trump?
No, I'm not that small,
baby
man.
Hands.
I don't have baby hands.
What do you think of the double Aghanim Sanctum in this lane? You
Well,
only have 1 Thunder God's Wrath, so it's not like you're going to be casting that. 1 Eclipse takes out Zeus if you even care about this hero being here. I'm more worried about for StanCifka. Obviously, you get the Bolt here, right, for next, if you really need it at mana 10.
Right.
But it's about getting the Bolt somewhere else. And we'll see how this double Sanctum works.
Yeah, I'm sure that Stan didn't want to do that, but with the way the flow of the game was going, there wasn't really a good position for him. Kind of forced into this clunky deployment.
I guess you kind of have to Eclipse, and then you want to play Arcane Assault to get initiative again, right? How does Eclipse work here? We'll have to take a look very shortly.
Well, since you asked, it works by dealing 3 damage. That's piercing, and then it pulses an additional time for each charge, dealing 3 damage more
1, 2,
each time.
3, 4, 5. He has exactly 6 charges. Exactly 6. All he needs is 5. Those are dead. But this second Sanctum, I'm still not 100% sure about this because I wasn't even taking account Crystal Maiden's aura again.
Yeah, Crystal Maiden putting in work.
Yeah, Arcane Assault's going to be an easy peasy. I guess he gets an extra unit to deal damage to the tower. Not sure how important that actually is, but...
I mean, it's relatively important because it allows you to threaten taking this down without investing 1 of the bolts.
True.
And then you can save them to... Because 2 bolts will take down a tower, right? So you can save those 2 to potentially just, over the course of a turn or 2, nuke another location. So
and Vin is in a bit of trouble here. 4 heroes dead for the next turn. In fact, all 5 of them died this turn.
Yes.
Rix will return, which is good, but all he has is Active Defiance, and there's 2 blue heroes in each respective lane that actually matters. So he is utterly useless, and even the Bracers of Sacrifice aren't going to do a whole lot, at least not in this lane. We'll take Zeus down to 1 HP. That's about as much as it does.
So what's interesting here, right, is that, yes, this looks bad for Vin, but if Stan cannot close out the game or, effectively get it far enough where he can potentially close it out the following turn, then Vin's going to have 4 heroes coming back.
Yeah.
Right? And he's got that Sanctum in the first lane. If he finds another Thunder Gods, for example, he could put a hero there and potentially have his own big swing turn.
That's true.
And the fact that this is, you know, in terms of the sequence of events happening on turn 9 right now, this means that Stan cannot just freely throw these bolts around. So the pressure is on to capitalize as much as possible here. Vin will have a chance to respond.
And this is why that second Aghanim Sanctum was so important here, where I think in this lane it would make a lot more sense, because you're going to be taking this, I mean, it might just be blinking over now, in fact. So he can just play Bolt in each respective lane. We'll see if that's the case. You do have 2 active Defiances that can be used because of Aghanim Sanctum. You can take out 2 heroes' ability to cast blue spells. But if there's a third, then you're countered. The great counter to active Defiance is having more heroes than cards in your hand of that specific kind. It's a hard one to counter, but StanCifka found a way.
It is a hard one to counter. Okay. It's so hard that everybody is changing their decks to deal specifically with Rix.
Ooh, Luna to the first lane. Is scared of, I'm not sure what.
I think what they're scared of is exactly the scenario I talked about. When Vin comes back next turn, there's a Sanctum in that first lane. If he has double Thunder Gods, it could be very problematic for Stan. By putting a hero in the first lane, if he plays the first Thunder Gods, Stan could respond with an Annihilation and shut out the second one.
Yeah, but what does double Thunder Gods even do? Like, look at this HP. This is absurd. 13 HP. Crystal Maiden's never been so fat in her life. Unbelievable. She's the Thunder Chad this game. She is the true Thunder Chad. No doubt about it.
Listen,
she hasn't been able to take a tower yet, though, so she's still learning.
I don't think you're supposed to talk about Crystal Maiden's weight like that.
It's fine. I've been given the okay.
Oh, okay.
Not much to play here for Vin, unfortunately for him. Just has to hope that Stan can't bring this down to 20 HP, which is the case, or is not the case, obviously. Ooh, Ristal Emblem picked up.
Wow.
Very interesting. That's off the secret shop.
Flasking Crystal Maiden as well there, StanCifka.
Oh.
That tells me he was worried about maybe the Bracers of Sacrifice getting her low enough that Thunder Gods could have hit her.
Okay. Sure.
Why not?
Sure. I guess that is technically true.
Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Stan can steal back initiative with Arcane Assault if he wants. Is that the last one in his deck, though, is the question.
It is.
It is. So that's...
Meanwhile, Vin is getting access to the cards that were lost in time once again this turn, and access to 4 blue heroes to deploy. So this is a big deployment phase for Vin. And also a pretty important draw, because Vin is going to need to either find a way to stabilize himself or find a way to close out a second tower. Given the relative health of the towers, I imagine it's going to be stabilized.
Yeah, this is... I mean, the best case scenario for Vin is having kind of layered spawns, right? Coming back at the same time is actually not ideal, because if you get annihilated in this third lane, which is kind of the only lane that you can go for at this point, all you're going to have access to is a green hero with 2 active Defiances. Unless you get the Thunderhide. Chad Alpha, no, not going to get it. So
yeah,
Rick's disappointing some more.
Yeah, well...
Oh!
Unfortunately...
Oh!
Oh!
All right, time to draw. You can do a bunch of foresights. You're going to gain 4 cards here. Okay. How much HP are we looking at for Rix right now? Only 1, so another Thunder Gods will take him out.
Finds an Annihilation. That's a very big pickup, because it does allow him to potentially stall.
Probably looking at a refresh here for Vin, and just going to keep drawing cards.
Keep taking. There's no reason not to.
We got 2 Thunderhide Alphas left in the deck. Stan still has 2 Annihilations. No more Thunder God's Wrath in hand, though, so will actually not be threatening lethal on Rix, at least not globally. Does he have a Frostbite right now? Does have Frostbite.
Yeah, there is a Frostbite.
Initiative will take care of him. All right, at any cost, takes care of those heroes.
Yeah, at any cost, shuts down the draw engine.
Yes, it does. StanCifka completely sick and tired of the multicast. Just wants none of it. Now, the issue here is the Rix is just dead. So even if you cast these Foresights into Thunderhide Alphas, the Frostbite will likely be the death of Rix right away. Oh, I'm sorry. He has two armor from Bracers.
Yeah, the Bracers will help with that. You also have to remember that Vin does have access to his Arcane Assaults again, so might be able to steal some initiative here. The problem is Stan still has his 1 Arcane Assault here and 2 Sanctums, so he's not going to run out of mana.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be an interesting one. Blink Daggers. How many are left here? Still 1 out of 2 left in the shop for Vin. You're going to see another draw. Annihilation again. Stars Align. Probably, you've basically drawn all your green cards that are not named Thunderhide Alpha. And boy, are they useless at this turn.
Yeah, there are 2
rate.
Thunderhides and 1 Active Defiance left in the deck as far as green cards go, because 1 Stars Align was already played earlier.
And there's the bolt. He's just going to take it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay. And gone is that tower, not taking any chances.
Well, now that saves Vin from having to play Annihilation here.
Yep.
Because you're not going to take any additional damage on the Ancient after the bolt. It becomes immune to damage for the rest of the round there.
Indeed.
So Vin's going to, I imagine, refresh and maybe dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, Stan refresh as well. Looking forward to this bolt on the immune tower like you talked about. Will be a lot of fun. Looking for another Foresight potentially. Is there any play? Is there any way to pray on the weak here? Just double pray?
I mean, you could
start pushing damage here.
You could take that line.
Thunder God's Wrath. All right.
And
still no Thunderhides. These draws, not what he's looking for.
Vin has drawn almost his entire deck at this point.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to see how many cards. Actually, there is in there. Cards in deck. 10 more cards in deck. Is that what that means? I believe so.
Yes.
And 11 for Stan. You're going to see any clips come out. All right. So give Zeus the old ghetto TP. And he can actually TP.
Yeah. Now,
we have
that's a relatively important play, because if you're talking about trying to get damage on a tower, clearing up that lane means that with Rix coming back next turn, if he does find Thunderhides, there's a Sanctum in that lane. You could if you draw them, you could play 2 dinosaurs there.
That's true. Problem is you got a lot of blockers, right? But if Annihilation is played, like you said.
No, I mean in the lane that he just TP'd Zeus out of in that second lane.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
That might actually be what Vin is trying to do.
Okay, I can dig it.
You could Annihilate here just to stall.
Yeah, I think you actually do Annihilate here if you're Vin.
Yeah, because you don't want to take the damage and get that within bolt range.
This is the problem, though, right? You got Luna with 5 damage with Blink Dagger off cooldown next turn. Can blink to the 3rd lane, bolt, be 1 damage off. So perhaps that actually would not be lethal without any other cards played.
Yeah.
Gonna go for the initiative play though.
Or it could just be cycling. You have 3 Arcane Assaults.
Yeah, you might as well.
And he knows he's got to find those dinosaurs if he wants to close this out. I think that he is just digging.
I love this idea of going mid. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about this. Problem is the Luna can blink and you have 2 Annihilations, right?
Yeah, but you give up initiative if you blink, right? So
exactly. So you put them both mid, you have active Defiance, and you can refresh your mana in order to play the Thunderhide. But that's only 1 Thunderhide.
But you have 2 Stars Align. So you can Active Defiance.
They're not useless after all.
Right. You can Active Defiance with your initiative play. Double stars.
Is this happening? Thunderhide?
We need a double dinosaur draw.
Oh my goodness.
And if you're a fan of alliteration, you're a fan of that phrase.
9 cards left in deck for Vin. This has to be an Annihilation, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think that you can afford to take the extra damage here.
See, this Blink Dagger is now kind of scary. You might not be able to even do any card draws now. You might have to just Annihilate. I think the play is to annihilate now. He's going to go for Arcane Assault. He can't annihilate. After there's a Thunderhide Alpha.
There is one dinosaur.
And I think you annihilate, and he is. Oh, my lord. This game just got juicy. This Thunderhide Alpha is one fat mother effer. Look at that big fat mama jama. That is a rare card for a reason.
Now we just need, if we find a second Thunderhide, like this might just be over.
It might be over anyway. We'll see. 2 creeps versus 1. Rix and Zeus. Zeus might just go to the first. Whoa. Okay, he can go to the third. It's the same thing, right? The third lane. The only problem is, no, he has Aghanim Sanctum here as well.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot more sense.
Zeus has to go to the first lane because you have to prevent losing to damage plus bolt there. You're at 30.
But here's the thing, though. You don't have initiative, but even if Luna blinks, Thunder God's Wrath kills both. If you try to save one, Annihilation comes out. The game's over. The game is actually just over. Unless I'm missing something. There's no Eclipses, so Stan cannot... You can go for Incarnation or something crazy. I think that's it. Am I missing something? You can Arcane Assault into Eclipse. Does he have any more Eclipses left? He's out of Eclipses.
Yeah.
The game's just over.
We are going to see...
Thunderhide Alpha. Rix with a 100% win rate in competitive play. Unbelievable.
All right. I mean,
here's the heal, and here's the Annihilate.
Yeah, like,
100%.
So we see this line of play. We just got to make sure.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh,
yes.
Boy.
Danger.
And I want to see Stan's face when this Thunderhide Alpha pounds right through him. Stan is he's questioning life's decisions right now. It's like, maybe I should be playing Rix.
Am I really about to lose to this dinosaur?
Oh my goodness, let's see it.
Yes, and look at that smile on Vin's face. Listen, there is nothing more satisfying than bringing not 1 but 2 unorthodox decks.
That's true.
And beating none other than StanCifka in your debut.
With that unit that no one has ever played, with a hero that everyone thinks is complete garbage.
And showing off why 25/25s are absolute units.